Angry guy here. And Middle Eastern women are fighting for black men. Middle Eastern women are fighting for black men. I want you guys to check this out. All right. So, this was a comment, I've talked about it, from a Middle Eastern woman, but this is actually quite interesting. So, she's from Afghanistan, and she asked, do black men love us Afghanistanian women? Right. And there was actually more comments than these, but these are the comments that I'm just showing you right now. And there were some black guys that popped up, and they said, as long as you don't possess that funky Western attitude, yes, we will love you too. Another comment, a woman is a woman, so the answer is yes. She responds, I love black men, and I'm an Afghan Pashtun. As an Afghan, I'm foreign, feminine, and friendly. And I'm sweet and genuine person. And I'm not ghetto and disrespectful to black men. I treat them like a king, which they are, 100%. Black men are the best. I love you, black men. Now, obviously, this woman has, has her motive. She wants a man that's going to provide for her, that's going to protect her, that's going to give her a good life. But the thing is, most men are providers and protectors by nature. So they want to provide for their woman. They want to protect their woman. They want to give their woman a good life. Something that a lot of men don't realize, though, is this. I want you guys to see what the Pashtun people actually look like. This is a very, very intriguing thing. These are some very intriguing and very interesting people. Let's go ahead and put some stuff on the screen. Before I show you what they look like, let's look at this tab. Pashtuns, also known as Pashtuns or Pathans, are a nomadic pastoral Eastern Iranic ethnic group primarily residing in northwestern Pakistan and southern and eastern Afghanistan. But what do the women actually look like, you ask? Well, these are the Pashtun women. Okay, and let's get a better look. So these are the women from, this is what these women look like. Now, they're not white. However, they do have very strong European traits as well as Middle Eastern. So it's quite unbelievable. This is what these women look like, and they often have colored eyes, blue eyes. This is really intriguing. Yet these women are not actually European. They don't have European blood, but they're absolutely gorgeous. Look at this woman. This is a Pashtun woman. This is what a Pashtun woman looks like. Look how beautiful these women are. And look at how these women are dressed. Beautiful faces, very conservative. They are absolutely gorgeous, but they're not showing everything off. And their clothing is gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The reason why women in Western society are so frightened by foreign women is because they cannot compete with these women. Look how beautiful these women are. Some of these women are not wearing makeup. There are pictures of these women without makeup. And you can absolutely see how beautiful they are, even naturally. I want to show you something that's also interesting. I want you guys to see what the men look like. I know you guys are going to say, well, I don't care, we're not, but I do want you to see what the men from the men look like. All right? Let's check out the guys. Let's check out the men. This is what the men look like. Look at these jeans. Look how handsome. Look at how handsome these men are. Even guys who have wrinkles. These men are handsome. Absolutely handsome, beautiful men. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. And these women want Western men. They want black men. They want white men. They want Hispanic men. They want good men. And the crazy thing is that they're making it very, very clear that men can expect a woman who is going to be feminine, friendly, agreeable. Notice what she said here. She said that I'm not ghetto and disrespectful. That was a jab, and she probably did not mean it directly, although many of them will now. That was a direct reference to African American women who utilize ghetto behavior and are disrespectful to their men. What she is saying is that I'm aware of what you men are dealing with in Western society. I don't behave like that. I will not go around showing off my body, being disrespectful, being loud, being someone that you will not be proud to have walking next to you. Think about that very carefully. What women in foreign women realize what men are dealing with in Western society. They realize that men don't want this. Any man that's basically saying right now, well, I'm going to stick with my own race, I don't care. But if you notice, a lot of these same dudes are refusing to step outside of Western society. If you're a black guy and you want a black woman, why aren't you looking in Africa or Brazil or other countries where the women are fit, feminine, friendly? If that's your preference, that's fine. But a lot of these dudes that say that they're only going to stick with African American women, these dudes are a part of the problem. They're a part of the cultural problem. They're the ones helping to maintain that status quo. They're because if you're a man and you see what these women are doing to your community, then why are you sticking around? Your mental state, there's something wrong with your mental state. You're bringing society down. If you're a white dude and women in your community are destroying your community, you prefer a white woman, that's fine. But if you're going to stay in a community where they are pulling and tearing apart your community, you're part of the problem. If you want a white woman, you can go to Europe, you can go to Germany, you can go to all these countries in Europe where the white women speak English and they are not westernized. They're feminine, they are friendly. They will respect you, they love you, they will take care of you. But a lot of men have been programmed to think that Western women are the best. Western women are their only option. If you go somewhere else, saying that you were not good enough to get a woman in your own country. But think about this. You can go to Germany, and I'm not saying Germany is perfect, but you can go to a lot of these other countries, even countries that have been influenced by feminism, and the women still appreciate you much more than women in the United States. And they will not do you dirty like the women in the United States. I'm just being very honest about this right now. You know, you hear men who complain about living in Sweden, for example, and I understand that feminism is big in Sweden. Feminism is insane in the United States. If you look at Western society, it's degraded immensely. And there are a lot of social benefits that men in Sweden have that men in Western society don't. Men living in Sweden can use the system to live very comfortably without having to work as hard. There are more social benefits being a man in Sweden. You have more opportunities as a man. And there are a lot of dudes that will say, no, you're wrong. Listen to me. If you're a Swedish dude and you're living in Sweden, before you say that Sweden is worse than the United States, you need to visit the United States. You need to come to the United States. Go to New York. Go to California and LA and see the signs and see the things that are happening in these places before you run your mouth. Live here and then try and pay the insane rents and and cost of living, all of it. I want y'all to experience that first and then say that living in the US is better than living in Sweden for a man. Because at this point, there is no benefit, very few benefits for a man to stick around in Western society, to stick around in countries like the United States, like the United Kingdom, Australia. There are very few benefits unless you're deciding that you're going to go and buy a piece of land and separate yourself, walk away from Western society, unless you want to start a business. Because what's happening with countries like the United States, unfortunately, even like Japan, a lot of Western countries, these are places where you make your money. These are places where, because a lot of countries are corrupt and it's very hard to start a business in a lot of other countries. And that's one of the good things about the United States. You can start an LLC very easily in the United States. And that's the big thing. And that's how a lot of people will begin using the US and Western countries. They'll use these countries to start a business, make their money, and leave. And with people working remotely now, a lot of these dudes will start a business and then move overseas to another country. And they will run their business from another country. They'll only come into the US when they need to conduct business. Some dudes will only come into the US when they need to work. For example, those people that clean the streets, those guys that shovel the snow, like they drive the trucks that clean the streets, they make good money. They make all of their money during the winter season. That's it. and they make enough money during the winter season so they don't have to work for the rest of the year. What does that actually mean? It means that you will have a dude who lives in a camper, trailer, whatever, has no rent, no cost of no his cost no almost no cost of living. He will do that job for 4 months out of the year, 4 months, 5 months max, but really it's more like 4 months, maybe even 3 to 4 months, and then he will spend the rest of the year in Colombia or the Philippines, somewhere in Europe, Africa, or he may even travel throughout the year. And the money that he makes, he will live like a king. He will save virtually all of it because his cost of living will be so low. This is the honest truth. It's the honest to goodness truth. The future is not in the Western society. I made a video many years ago called Men Leaving the West. And that's really where it's headed. Men are going to be walking away from Western society, walking away from the West to find opportunities outside of Western society. And when a country loses its men, it's no longer a country, it's a wasteland. If men are demoralized, if men no longer want to work hard, men actually have to want to push, to fight, to create, to defend. If you try to force men into something like, defending the country, like something happens and, they're like, okay, well, now you guys are going to have to go and serve your country. You don't have a choice. It's a bad idea. These men are not going to give it their all. They're going to be demoralized. They don't want to be there. These are men who are going to be filled with fear. They're not going to be fighting for anything. Think about this very carefully. Forcing men to go and fight for something they don't believe in, and then saying that if we're going to punish you if you don't believe, that's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Imagine putting someone into forced servitude and telling them that we're going to punish you if you don't love being in forced servitude and if you don't give it your all. These men will basically do what they're told, but they're not going to give it their all. They're not going to push harder than they have. They're going to be demoralized. And as a result of that, it's a massive loss for all of us. Middle Eastern women are fighting for black men, and it's not. And I told you it's going to be an international competition where women all around the world are going to be fighting for Western men. Right now, it's black men, but once the white guys start leaving in droves, and there are some people who are like, the white guys have been doing it for before the black guys, yeah, but it's not. But these guys were a small group of men. It was a relatively small group of white guys that were doing this. When white men as a whole, on a large group, when large groups of white men start to do the passport king thing, that's when things are really going to go. It's gonna go mad. We're gonna see some extreme extreme fallout. That's when we're gonna see things like travel bans happening. And like I said, taxation won't work on these men because if you try to tax these men, they'll just make less money. Try to tax these men, start jacking up the taxes. These dudes will cut down on the amount of money they make. So these dudes will set up an LLC, write all of that off. In fact, they may even get some money back as a result of tax credit. They'll qualify for Medicaid. They'll qualify for things like the ACP or whatever. So they'll have internet, everything they need. They will have everything that they need essentially covered. They will cut their bills down to nothing. Men don't need a lot to survive. Right now I actually have three different phones. I know you're like, guys are what? I have three different cell phones right now. I wanted to try out, I picked up an iPhone SE 2020 because I needed an iPhone. I wanted access to the ecosystem. I was able to pick it up for less than $200. And I needed service. So I went and I got Mint Mobile because I've been hearing about Mint. I've wanted to try it out for a long time. It uses the T-Mobile network. Okay, 73. It was $20. It's $20 a month for 15 gigabytes of data per month. You can have it was $15 for 5 gigs, $20 for 15. So I went with 20. I paid $60, and with taxes, it came out to $73. And I also got an additional 3 months. So I have a total of 6 months of cellular service, a tiny amount of money, $73. All right, that's what the fees and taxes in. $73 for 6 months of service. When I tested it, it uses LTE. However, I'm getting speeds of almost 300 megabits per second, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, men, we do not need a lot to survive. We do not. We can live high quality lives, dirt cheap, very happy. We will have everything we need. Not, it's like a candy store to us. It's literally a candy store. I've already said this. A lot of dudes are going to have apartments in other countries, like that they're spending, let's say, their apartment is $150 a month, $200 a month. They're going to rent apartments in other countries, and when they are ready, they're just going to pick up, take off, fly to these other countries, and live in these other countries. Every guy should be finding a country right now that they like and getting a permanent residency in those countries. It's not hard to get. It's not hard to get. You get a permanent residency pretty easily. There are companies that will work with you and get yourself a permanent residency. At first, it's temporary in some cases, and that's like 3 years. And then after like 5 years, you can upgrade it to permanent, although there are also a lot of loopholes. Guys, I want to know your thoughts regarding this. Middle Eastern women are fighting for black men. What do you think? Guys, like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.